All right, we'll move right along. We want to talk about electrical conduit, so routing conduit objects. So I'm just going to start off with my electrical template and fire that up. I am going to go into my power plan because it shows up and set up to be visible in the power plan. And I'm going to hit my close all other windows to close off that window of the lighting plan. If I hit my tile button right now, it's going to tile both of those views. So I want to close off the lighting one or minimize it, maximize this, and then I want to say close all extra windows, which is the same as going to here and saying close all extra windows. Now I'm going to open up the 3D view, and now I'm going to say tile, or I've added it to my quick access toolbar with a right click, so I hit tile. So I have a plan view over here, and I have a 3D view. So just to kind of create a bit of a space, I'm going to just draw some on my systems tab. I'm going to use my cable tray tool, and all I'm going to do is just draw kind of like a little hockey rink here. I'm going to create, not the correct size mind you, and it's not really giving me a snap there. Escape, click on here, zoom out, shift middle mouse to swivel that around. Okay, just so I kind of get a sense of where I am. Now this one didn't work out, so I need to just go back and say modify and use my trim tool and say trim this and this. So you can trim walls and conduit and cable tray and HVAC components and ductwork and all that good stuff. So there's just a little bit of a space that I want to create. So back to my systems tab and conduit. So you start your conduit tool and you pick your conduit type off of here like anything else in Revit. So you pick your type over here, and we want to check all of our options on our options before we start to draw. This is the diameter. Okay, set diameters. We have those preset, I believe, in the electrical settings on the systems tab. Then we have the offset, okay, from the level that we're on. Okay, offset from there. And as we type in numbers, it'll remember we can use apply to go vertically straight up and straight down and then kind of terminate the line. It's important that when we draw and we offset the conduit and the cable tray, etc., that we have enough room for all the bends inside of there. Okay, we have some options up here as well. Justify automatically connecting allows you to snap, and it will put in all your fittings. Inherit the elevation, inherit the size, and put any adapters in there, and then ignore slope. Okay, as you draw around ductwork or controls, if it hits the slope, it'll ignore that and just kind of draw above it or below it. It's going to ignore the fact that it's sloped when it connects, but it will kind of snap to it vertically, etc. So we will just leave those as is for the time being, and then inside of this window, I can start to draw. So I can just pick a point down in here, and then as I draw, I'm just going to see, conduit going in at 9 feet because that's where that elevation was. Okay. As I'm moving along, if I go in here and I change this to be, 5 feet and hit enter, and then pick along here, okay, it's going to drop down to the 5-foot level. Okay. Notice it's single line right now, and notice there's a green dot here. Now I can say, okay, I'm going to go down to, 0. So now I'm down at 0 and I go underneath here. And then I go back up to 9 feet. At this point, now that's at 9 feet, and then I go back to 0, all the way down to 0. Escape. Now, what level is escape? What level are these guys at? Tab, click on here. They are at 9 feet. Let's put those down at 0, so we know where the 0 is. Click out. There we go. And it's a game of mousetrap. So Now, let's talk about the detail level here. Okay, as we draw this, if we set this to be medium or coarse, this is what we get. If we say fine detail, it actually draws the detail. Okay, and in this case, look what it did. Because I have a junction there of 4, it added in a conduit junction box. Okay, so it adds in those components as you draw around. This one is still set to be medium detail. Change this one to be fine detail. We'll see more detail. Okay, so as you're drawing this conduit, every time you change, okay, I started here and I went around, okay, and then at this point I went to 5 feet and it created that. Now, if you try to make this drop to say just with a 3-foot difference, it doesn't have enough room to put these round the bends in here and still have this in here. So what'll happen is the conduit will come down and it'll slope instead of having a vertical leg. And I'm just going to kind of demonstrate that right here. So let's just kind of move over into here. Okay. Let's type SD on the keyboard for shaded mode. Okay. And let's just move over to this corner here. And we'll draw some conduit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to start at 0, which is good. So here I come along at 0. Go around the corner, puts the bend in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it to be, only 3 feet. And then I'm going to continue along here. Okay, notice what it did there. Okay, now I'm going at 3 feet, no problem. Okay. Go to here. And now I'm going to change my height to be, 5 feet. Boom, as it goes around. I thought I had clicked already. Oh, you see, here's the problem. It doesn't have enough room to put that bend in. We have exactly the same. You see the stop sign? That means that I can't pick my next point because it let me pick that point. But now that I'm going this way, what I have to do is actually, if I do this, it'll actually make that leg longer. Watch. Pick. Oops, pick. Now, oh, sorry, it should let me do that. It is not letting me. So, watch. Escape. I'm going to start again right here and do this. And it will piece that back together. Now, here I go again. So you start again and it'll actually merge those two pieces, heal that joint. Okay, over I go. And now I'm going to go up to 5 feet. And again, it's going to be a sloping segment. Oh, you see, not enough room. 5 feet. Yes. Now I'm going around a corner and not providing enough. So that's not going to work at all. So then what happens if I go to 9 feet? Now all of a sudden, watch, it's going to let me do it because it's got enough room in here to do that little thing. Okay, so that's whenever you see the stop sign, it means that you are not in a position to be able to draw what you want because of all these little bendy things. See, as I go along here, and now I should be able to. Oh, you see, the problem is, you see, I can't go anywhere right now. Okay, because this little segment right here is not long enough. If I go this way, okay, it's going to try to put a bend in there and there's just not enough room. So I can't go in any direction at this point, even if I do keep my same elevation. So you have to stop, escape, or I could have just hit escape once. But anyway, either way, I need to get back onto the end point of this, draw a conduit, give myself another little extra piece. There it heals it. And now off I go. Okay, you see, now I've got enough room in there. Now I can drop myself down to 5 feet. And as long as I go here, oh, still not enough room. Okay, I'm going to hit escape, click on here, come over, and then go down to 5 feet. Starting to get the hang of this. Click, there. Okay, went back down, escape. pick on here. So drawing that conduit is all about, and the same as with the cable tray and the ductwork as we're learning, is it's all about providing enough room for these bends. Okay, if you pick on this piece of conduit and you go into the edit type, okay, it's going to give you some information about, what it uses for bends, etc., stuff like that. Okay, I mentioned earlier we're going to go back to here, systems, and under electrical settings, okay, we can go in and look at wiring, cable tray settings, conduit settings, okay, information in there, okay, rise and drop, okay, single link line symbology, two line symbology, sizes, okay, those are the sizes that are on that pick list, and then load calculations you can have a look at, panel information. So conduit settings inside of there, have a look at that. Cancel out. So once again, these are all in fine detail. If you change this to be coarse detail, it's going to do this, and it'll also go by your scale factor as well. Okay, so you can see the green dots when the pipes or the conduit go up and down. This one, medium detail, goes to just basically single line. And fine detail is really no change, other than the fact that the cable tray goes single line in fine detail. So fine and medium don't change the conduit here, but it does change the cable tray, and then fine detail changes the conduit and not so much the cable tray. Let's see what it does to the cable tray. Medium detail shows it covered. Fine detail shows it open. There's a good point there. And that would come into play, I suppose, if you pick on here and make it one of the ladder types as well. So if I hover, tab, click, and grab all those guys, I can change them. It's not letting me change them. Let's just use my modify and my... It's not going to do the fittings on the corners, interestingly enough. Oh well. Click out. Same thing as in here. Medium detail, fine detail. You're going to see that. Okay. If you want, wherever you see these plus signs, be it with conduit or with a cable tray, you can pick on there and you can add in junctions, right? You can hit this plus sign and add in a T connection on there if you want at any point, and then take it away with that. In this case, I think we just delete it. And then you can retrim these corners. And you can do that in a 3D view as well, okay, if things do line up. Okay, click on this elbow here. We can go in and say trim this guy and this guy. Oops, trim. You have to kind of hover over the center lines. You'll see that line up, okay, in different directions. Pick on this guy, delete it. You can even do it in medium detail or fine detail and say trim this guy and that guy. Perfect. Okay, so remember that if it does not have enough room to do the vertical transition, it will put in that gradual slope like this. That's what happens. If you pick here and you change your height and you drag and pick here, if there's not enough room to do a full vertical with the bends in there, then what it does is it automatically just slopes the conduit. And we saw that as well with our cable tray. All right, cable tray behaving a little bit differently. So there's some good information on using and routing our conduit.